Good morning, this is Stephana Johnson, and you are listening and watching to Stephana Speaks on a glorious Friday. I'm excited about Friday because Friday is my day of putting my intention around focus and what I'm focusing on. And I like to share with my clients this concept. It's part of a 5-step program that I do in what I had created of finding joy beyond trauma. It's what I write about in my book, Finding Joy Beyond Trauma. This is stories of thriving and strategies, actually stories of healing and strategies for thriving. The work that I had done in my earlier career had a lot to do with being a counselor and a chaplain. I was an ordained minister when I was very young, in my early 20s, and it's almost like I had a split personality. I'm sure many people would agree, but I had this deep passion to create in the field of film and stage and do modeling and acting in New York, but at the same time I was also very called to being a counselor and a chaplain and a healer to ease the suffering of people. I think ultimately it comes to know that I had so much pain and suffering in my own life that I had blocked and tried to keep hidden. Well, not necessarily keep hidden, but I had personally experienced great suffering and trauma, and just who I am, I would prefer not to have anyone experience any kind of suffering and trauma. And the thing is, when you get older and you become an adult, you grow up and realize, well, it's not possible to save everyone. It's not possible to stop the suffering from everyone, but you can help someone. And what I also have discovered is that when you help yourself, and self-care is a big part of that, when you self-care instead of, last night, okay, shifting off here, last night I was giving a workshop and someone was talking to me about how, well, if you're a selfish mom, you're a good mom. And I said, well, if you self-care, that's what we're talking about, is taking care of yourself as well. And that's something to model for our children. So we got into that discussion on that, but it was interesting how she used the word selfish, and that's really like, we've got to be selfish. No, we're not being selfish. We're self-caring. And that's important. That's a really important piece. And on Sundays, that's what I talk about. That the show is all about self-care. And we'll talk about, on Sunday, we'll talk about self-care and the healing process of grief, when we go through grief and why we don't spend the time that we need to actually grieve. So back to today's show on focus. Now, healing, and as a chaplain and working with many thousands of hours of counseling and helping others in that capacity, a lot as a volunteer, the majority of it, in fact, allowed me to see how when we focus on the pattern of the problem, of the pain, we can actually, now this is different than what most are saying, because if you put your attention on the bad, or if you put your attention on something that is uncomfortable, you're going to get more of that. Now, not necessarily so, because if you ignore it, it's not necessarily going to go away either. And so there are these couple different thoughts that you've got going on, the law of attraction thought and the new age thought of, well, your vibration needs to be higher than whatever, your vibration, if it's down here, you're thinking bad things, and, affirm something better. But the reality, and that's wise. There's some wisdom in law of attraction. There's some wisdom in new age thought, and I'm very much a student in that area, and absolutely love, I'm a certified law of attraction coach, so I know all about that. But here's the thing, analytically and looking empirically at the evidence, if we do not address the white elephant, it's not going to go away. We're not going to just put a nice blanket over it or put a pretty decoration over it and it changes. Not necessarily. And so as I work with my clients going through this process, moving over into what I do specifically of the healing part, why, so someone wants to get from point A to point B, whether in their business or their life. And so let's look at an area where from point A to point B, there's a pretty big gap. And let's say the bridge has been built and they've developed the skills to get there, but there's still a block. And the work that I do with my clients around healing in their life, because I believe how you do anything is how you do everything. And our life and our business are so entwined, we cannot separate them. Let's just face it, we cannot separate out and say, well, this is over here. They affect each other. They can affect each other positively or negatively, just like our family and our business and our family and our life. We cannot separate these out. And you know, if your integrity is out in your business, I can guarantee there's going to be spilling over and polluting the water in the family and in your personal life and in your health. And I think that that's something that you can agree on and look at. Oh, yeah, I've seen that. So we can look at how we can actually clean up each area of our life and our business and our family, and it helps build each area when we do work in another area. So it's why I work so closely and go deep with my clients on this. This is important stuff, especially if there's trauma in the past. And because I have personal experience in that, I understand. And this is something that I'm not coming from an ivory tower on. Same with families. If there's struggle in the family with the children, I understand that because I live and breathe this every day as my life. And what we focus on is a key part of this. So understanding the first two components that I do when I'm going through the steps with my clients is awareness, and coming into that awareness of where we fit and where our understanding comes into play here. This is where I have teach the pilot skills, practicing presence, being intentional, listening, laughing, lightening up a bit, using the power of love, that higher vibration to come up to observe, and then bringing in those tools. And the tools also include imagination, because I believe we're creators. We are creating our life from the thoughts that we are thinking, from the beliefs we are holding, from the actions we are taking because of those beliefs. And those continued actions will then make our life, right? So it's all working together here. And this imagination that we have, this is the power that we have, that creation power, that part of the I am in us that is creating our lives. This is a component of allowing you to find your focus. So for example, when we have something going on throughout the day and we have our focus or our attention on something that is outside of our control and we don't recognize it as such, perhaps we'll worry about it because we think, well, maybe this will happen or maybe that will happen. And that goes into worry, which creates stress. And the thing about stress is that when we're focusing on maybe not, that sits us or holds us in a pattern of that. Are we going to be eaten? It's in our DNA of, are we going to be the prey or the predator? And what can be done simply to come back down to grounding is to focus on what you can do. And let's say, for example, you left the iron on. And if the iron is left on and you're on the way to the airport, so there's things that you can do. Can you turn around and go and get it turned off. If not, are you still going to worry about you're going to be sick the entire vacation because you left the iron on? Can you make a phone call? If you cannot do something about that iron to either turn it off or handle it, and you're not willing to do something about it, whether it's to drive home and get it or find someone to help you, or thinking about, oh no, what if the house burns down? What if the fire people show up? We've lost our house. And all of a sudden you've created all this. That is the power. This shows the power of focus. Because if you focus on that, look what happens not only to your mental capacity, but your physical capacity. Your physical body starts to feel those sensations of what you're focusing on, even when it is in your imagination. So now let's come back to that ability that we have, that is our power, that is, it's our strength. And that is to focus on and imagine, okay, what it is not only that we want to create, but now what we can move forward with intentionally and create in our lives that we are able to actually accomplish, rather than worrying about what may or may not happen. That allows for a lot more room of that creativity to come into play, for you to create your life from that intentional place. And focusing on what you value for yourself, for your family, for your business, brings into play almost the universal powers kind of getting behind you, being your ally and supporting you in that. That's my next step. For the step, actually, before that, we release what's not working, which I just described, and you reinforce what is working. Your power of your imagination, your power of creativity, and whatever you're focusing on, whatever you've chosen intentionally to focus on, and you are moving forward step by step in a strategic way. In business, this is something that, if I talk about strategies and I talk about creating your life from a strategic plan and planning, that's real. But you can also do that with your life and have a strategic movement forward in your life, in your relationships, and with your family. And then, of course, getting the support that you need, whether it's calling on universal support or calling on allies or mentors or coaches, or even down to whomever is in your environment. Is your environment supportive? Are the tools that you're using supportive, right? My third grader, Ryder, he and I are studying, we are studying the Old Testament as part of his third grade, one of his unit studies in language arts. And it's very interesting because although I'm a minister, and I will always be an ordained minister, that's something that was important to me, and I am not religious. I do not subscribe to one religion, but I believe there is so much truth in many religions. And for me, I think, and this is a stand I take, is I think each individual has a unique voice and a unique truth. And there's no one-size-fits-all, certainly not with the belief in God. I mean, even if everyone is agreeing that we believe in this book and this is what we're reading, there is not only one truth. I mean, there is not only one concept. There's one, I think, from each individual, even from that viewpoint, because we all are individuals. And so it's interesting how I digress. Okay, so my third grader, we're talking about the Old Testament here, and in our studies and the stories that we're reading, so we're reading the different stories that have happened in the Old Testament. And the one thing that's so interesting to me about the story of Noah is that he spent an enormous amount of time building the ark, and it took him over 100 years. So when he received the first request from God that he was to build the ark, that there would be 40 days of rain and 40 nights of rain, and he was to build an ark, and etc. It was a process of over 100 years. And this is fascinating and wonderful to me because it's so perfect how when things get tough, sometimes we'll want to change direction. Or when something else comes in, we may lose focus. And this has happened so much in my life, so much. And if we just understand this piece and this concept, that if we know our North Star, I love how Martha Beck talks about this in her brilliant book, Finding Your Own North Star. And when you have your inner compass set, to your North Star, not mommy or daddy's North Star, not a make-believe North Star, not a fabricated one by the media or by some marketing scheme, your North Star. And you are living in that energy. You'll know it. You'll know it. It's like nothing else. Talk about the sweet spot. Talk about in the zone. It's healing. It's vibrant. It's radiant. You are radiant. You are vibrant. And you can move forward. And it's much easier to recognize when something comes in that is not aligned with your intentions, with your mission, your purpose, your focus. So as we're studying about this and looking at it, I just stepped back and went, oh my gosh, here I am in my 40s, and am I focusing on, and have I focused on what's true for me? And I remember I could go back and pinpoint the exact moment when I was 2 years old, knowing what was, it was living and breathing in me what my purpose and my mission was here. And it's not some like, oh, she's doing, sometimes being an amazing mother and raising a family in a loving and wonderful way is part of my mission. It's part of who I am. Expressing myself and playing a role like Lily from Lily on Saturday is part of who I am, part of my mission, and discovering that and knowing that that is the truth, and then being able to focus so precisely on that and move forward with a decisive intention is brilliant. And I so want that for you. I so want that for your existence. It's exhilarating and it's empowering. And when you do that, and when you step into that place, you are not only illuminating that for everyone else, the impact that you have and that your gifts are here to be shared with, those will receive them. You see? So it's like when you show up to a potluck and you don't bring your gifts, your dish, someone on the other side who comes up to fill their plate will starve. It's that kind of a concept, you see? We all are here to share our gifts, and someone is there to receive our exact gift, just as we are here to receive an exact gift from someone who is sharing their gift. Now, we'll starve if someone is not expressing their unique gift and focusing on it. What if they're over here, digging around in something else that someone else believed for them was the best way to go? And no one can tell you what your best way is. You have to find it in you. And the great news is, I know how to do that for you. I know how to do that with you and to help you discover that. Because I've done it myself. And then have been so blessed with the gift and the understanding of being able to see that light. And for me, it's clear. For me, it's completely clear, and perhaps it may be for you as well, and that's fantastic, because that's what I'm here for. That's what I want to see, is that everyone can experience that. So it's not. For me, that's the gift. That's the gift to know that you've got that and you're expressing that. That brings me joy. And allowing ourselves to focus on that and know that you're not being selfish, and understand that the component of self-care and caring for your family and being a well-rounded human being, doing and experiencing and creating your world from that place of presence and integrity and an intentional, that sacred intention, moving forward, focusing every day. That's bliss. That's bliss to me, right? Joseph Campbell, follow your bliss. There you go. And sometimes getting through that is painful, uncomfortable. Resistance shows up. But I think that there's always that light. And that guidance, that compass is still within us. And we can still feel it, even though maybe it's been buried, or it's been occluded, or it's been hammered away at. I understand that. I understand those pieces of the trauma and the suffering, and I think those are components in discovering more about us and our gifts. I really do. So today, I have a coach's request for you. It's to focus on fun. So let's say this. If it doesn't bring you joy, how about if you take your focus off of that? Now, I'm not talking about la-di-dee, dancing through the flowers and, being this. I could get very Pollyanna sometimes, but I'm not talking about, flittering away and all of that. I'm talking about that deep inner, it's like breath. And for me, I experience that knowingness of, I know who I am. I know what I'm supposed to be doing as joy and fun. And for me, it's fun. That the moment I am helping someone discover their truth and release the shackles and the stuff that gets embedded in us over time, I start that. For me, that's fun. That's joy. That is my fun. I want to make it very clear that I'm not talking about joking and degrading and circus fun. There's a time and a place for entertainment that's like, okay, well, I'm just going to say it. So there's a time and a place, I suppose. That's a choice. It's still a choice of what you're going to focus on, and to shut off your focus when you just sit, okay, veg out in front of the TV, veg out in front of a movie, veg out in front of Facebook, veg out in front of, whatever it is, veg out in front of the ice cream. Chocolates and cups of tea. Okay, that's mine. Chocolate, nice little chocolate cup of tea in my book. That's my veg out. That's my time and a place to just there's a time and a place for that. So I'm not talking specifically about that fun. There's a difference. So let's separate between that fun of that true inner joy. Okay, so how about that? That's what I'll say is, if it doesn't bring you joy, and what is that essence for you? What is that you value, that is your joy? And knowing that is crucial. If you don't know that yet, do my free workshop on creating your. I do creating your family's family value shield, but it's a personal value shield. You want to create your value shield. It's like a crest. And anyway, you can download that at Pilot Your Way Through Stress. There's a handout there, and you can get that. I'll add that to the link. And doing that helps because it'll remind you and help you set your compass. Okay, so where's your joy? Where is that? Oh, that's right. You'll know. I believe that we've all known, even, because I can pinpoint it in my childhood at a very young age and know that moment, and I can connect to that. And I have done a lot of inner child healing work, and it's what I do with my clients. This inner child healing work is so important to be done if there's work to be done there. And now, because I get to experience this with my children and raising them in a way that is from a place of allowing them to step into that joy, into their joy, not mommy's joy, not daddy's joy, but their joy, and seeing that and be able to recognize it in another is very wonderful. And if you can start doing that for yourself and to recognize that for your joy, recognize it in your place of your life, that place for your business, that place for your family, for your health, you're going to see blossoming occur in your life. And the grace of that is so wonderful. And what's wonderful for me is that when that happens, we all benefit. When I do something to heal, when I help another heal, we are all healing to a certain degree. That's that pebble on the pond ripple effect. And that's what I can do, coming full circle back to how we can help ease suffering, how I can help ease some suffering somewhere is by doing that. And instead of being this concept of selfish, it is self-care. Because when we ease our own burdens and our own pain and our own suffering, to a certain degree, we are easing the burdens and the suffering of everyone and everything. And that is vital. And that part of self-care and stepping into that place is the ripple effect to the rest of the world, from yourself, your environment, to your children, to your community, to your business, to mankind, and on out. And that's powerful. That's powerful. That's how one can make a difference. And I hope that you step into that place and today express that place of joy for you and spend a little time focusing on that and cultivating that ability to focus. So cultivation of that skill of focus requires a little bit of practice, intentional practice of bringing your practicing presence, okay, we're practicing presence and we're bringing our attention back, and what are we focusing on? Because it's a conscious choice in every moment. Even though we tend to want to go on automatic pilot and plop ourselves in front of a TV or food or other, we're just hitting up against a little bit of resistance, and we can move through it. Sometimes we need a little support. And as a coach and consultant, that's what I'm here for. I'm Stephana Johnson. You can reach me through stephanajohnson.com. You can go to findjoybeyondtrauma.com. I have a webinar on there, free webinar and a free download of a 21 tips, tools, and 21 tips, tools, and something else to turn trouble into triumph. It's a great little 21 tips. You might as well use one or two of those in there if there's trouble going on. And that's something I wanted to send out on Friday. So I hope that you have a fabulous day. Focus on that joy. Find that place in yourself and express that. Peace and blessings.